Chapter 27. I want to see what eating in the gym is like, Jung announced as she, Oprah and I made our way to school in El Pro's new Ford Probe. The ink had barely tried on his driver's license. It's nothing very exciting, I said. It's just a place to hang out. Why don't you come and see yourself for yourself? Oprah turned a bit from the well to look at Jung, who was seated in front. Really? She said, with a little squeal that was new to her. I hope she wasn't picking up any weird Iron River speech patterns. Can I break down? Sure, whatever, he said. I had this semi-strange feeling that Miko liked Jung and vice versa. I mean, at first I wasn't sure. I was just picking up circumstantial evidence. For instance, Miko seemed to insist more and more that we meet at my house, and when we did, he seemed to always have an ear out for a sign of Jung. And John always came home with this weird, hopeful, expectant look on her face. It was a semi-strange, not fully strange, because it was all pro. If it were any other guy, especially someone on the football team, I wanted to kill him. I mean, I am Jung's Opa, after all, and it's my job to look out for her. And to me, there is hardly a guy had existed good enough for her, especially not the guys in the locker room, who seem to think you handle a girl the same way you handle a football. There are two of you, said Ram at lunch. Today he was wearing a shirt that said 10 reasons why a bear is better than a woman. She's my sister, I said as meaningly as I could. I think for the first time I noticed that Jung is really pretty. I mean, really pretty. Even among all these blonde buxom beauties around here, Jung is just unique, with her straight glossy hair and awesome bone structure. I was glad all of a sudden that she dressed on in the front beside and hung out with quiet, smart girls like Donna. Could you imagine what life would be like if I had to be pulling jerks like Rom and Jimmy of her all the time? Young and Donna sat in the corner and ate together like chipmunks. To my relief, the rest of the guys ignored them. Thanks, Opa, Young said as we walked back to our lockers, toward together afterward. I just wanted to see how the other have lives. Don't thank me. Miko was the one who invited you. Yeah, but he did because he's your friend. He hugged her box to her chest. It's wild, Opa. I was just writing a letter to Sergeant telling her how you become this popular football star. Popular? Dream on. Of course you're very popular. I heard girls talking about you. About me? What they say? Young laughed, sort of pushed me away. Your head is swelling as we speak. No, it's not. Come on, tell me. I just heard them talk. I just heard them talk about how his football plays or that is so cute, and your name comes up under the cute category. Girls say Rainy is really lucky. That's all I'm going to say. Are you joining us tomorrow, dear sister? No, thanks. This was fun for a day, but football players don't have the daintiest eating habits. I guess, I said. I was wondering if she was referring to Ram's chewing with his mouth open, Jimmy's rusty fat cross balloon lead sandwiches, or Leland's some seafood jokes. Even Old Pro was aside trying to eat 4 or 5 PF and H sandwiches eat a lot of time limit. Well, we were football players. What did she expect? Our racing ended early because it got cold sooner up north. If we won the Moose Creek game, it would be almost a month and more freezing practices while we waited for the Southern Conference to catch up. And then we all met at the heated Humphrey Dome in the cities around Thanksgiving. I've been writing to Manuel, telling him he have to come visit, try the cold out of for himself. One morning, John and I stared out the window together. Whoa, I said. Where'd the green go? Our lawn looked like silver Christmas tinsel. We high-fived each other. Frost, Young diagnosed. This is only the beginning. Just think, Opa, we're going to have our first snow. I can't wait. On the way to practice that morning, the tops of puddles were laden in brittle ice, but Miko kept saying over and over again that this weather was strangely warm. By this time, they almost always had snow. At practices, we froze for the first half hour, specifically if the wind was blowing. It was painful. Then we be dripping sweat, which didn't feel so healthy either. But the coaches told us we had to buck up, so we did it. Coach wore a big fat iron refillable parka, but Kearney toughed it out in just a tiny windbreaker to show us he was with us. In school, my grades were okay, but I was glad they'd been coming out after the state tournament. You could say I was a little distracted. My first thought when I got up was football. After the morning practice, I was half asleep all day. When I woke up at 3, it was time to do it all over again. After that, I just wanted to soak in Miss Nutson's top. Sometimes Young would sit outside the door talking or playing me a new song she learned. Tonight I came home ready to ease myself into the tub, but then I stopped. What was the delicious smell? Korean hamburgers. Whoa! I immediately volunteered to set the table. We sat down to Miss K, enormous version of hamburgers, beef patties coated in egg, soy sauce, and green onion and cooked in sesame oil. I had to use this other Kangchang chunking soy sauce and corn oil from sesame oil. Oh, I apologize. I was already inhaling about 3 burgers. A layer of kimchi on top and real rice, not Uncle Ben's, would have made it perfect. But then you can have everything. The last time I had Chongqing was at Donna's house. Jung said as we gobbled earnest as pigs at a throw. Her mother had bought all his school main stuff and used the recipe of the can. She continued, and then when I came in the house and went, Yum, what is this? Everyone just looked at me like I was supposed to say, oh, chow mein medley it is my absolute favorite dish. I didn't even look anything like the chow mein at Fierce's Garden. Yeah, I said, like when I ate over at my friend Ron's house. All Jung knew Ron was actually Rainy. His dad was trying to explain to me how a ravioli was like a wonton, not realizing that I am the chef Boyardee King. Cheese ravioli, mini ravioli, roller coasters. I stuck them all. Not to mention that ravioli is closer to mandu for us, not wonton. Kiss. Gosh, said Miss K. I learned so much about Korean culture from you two. About Abuji glanced up to Oma. The taste of this is good, he said, chewing noisily. Jong and I had to finally convince Abuji that eating loudly and completely to the cook in Korean households was considered rude here, but Miss Notson was busy eating a second helping, and Oma looked happy. Changli, it's so exciting to see the town rooting for young people. All those gold miners, signs all over town. Miss Notson said, Gosh, if you won, you'll probably get your picture in the paper, and you look so handsome in your leather jacket. He nearly blushed. Miss Notson had recently told Young and me that she and her husband had only one child, a girl who had died in a boating accident when she was 5. Miss K keeps saying how nice it was, with our arrival, to have children in the house again. I was reading in the paper how people buy gold miners merchandise in certain stores. Oma said, a thoughtful, concentrating look coming over her eyes. Oh, you mean the booster pins? Miss Notson said. Last year they had little mittens, which were much cutter. But the pins are okay. I get mine at Sue's Sweet Shop. Would you like me to get you one? I was thinking we could sell some at the store, maybe other things. I would sit up of the mention of the store. Back in LA, Oma had gotten these ideas from talking to the customers that the store should carry Drano and Alka Seltzers. Not to be mixed, of course. Abaji deep size sixed it, saying no one goes to a produce store for those things. Oma, however, insisted. I think Abaji ordered the stuff just to prove her wrong, and wouldn't you know it, both Drano and Alka Seltzer became bestsellers. Lots of people got clock sinks and clocks got late at night when the drugstore and hardware stores have closed. What a great idea, Jug said. Like, you know how we already have those fridges coming to coffee cups? I bet if we sold miners t-shirts and coffee cups and stuff like that, people would buy them. I know, I certainly would, Miss Kay said, and I bet my friends for church and Hot Dish Club would too. John and I exchanged looks. Hot Dish Club? In fact, she went on, an old friend of Ollie's. That was the late Mr. Knudson. God rest his soul. Runs a novelty printing store. Oh, maybe he can make those foam hands and say we're number one. I adore those. Let's see what he can do for us in a hurry. Oh yes, Alma said, eyes sparkling. We can donate some of the money we make back to school. Abaji had stopped eating. He was looking at all of us, sort of bewildered. I did my best to translate, but I'm not sure how well poster pins and novelty printing came out. We should check with franchise first, he said. Alma shook her head. We ask, they say no. We don't ask, what's the harm? We're supporting the school this way. The double rang. It was Oprah's Miss K. It was Oprah. Miss K let him in, and he sat down at the table as if he didn't hear 1,000 times before, except this was the first time. Hi, he said. His face was scrubbed and beaming. I introduced him to Oma. I introduced him to Abaji, describing him as the principal's son, the one who gave us the ride to school the one day a week we didn't have morning practices. Would you like something to eat? Oma said, we're having Korean hamburger tonight. I just ate a full meal at home, Oprah said. But how can I resist something that smells this good? Emma looked just a tad smug as she got up to get him a plate. She bumped into Jong, who was excited in the kitchen already having gotten him one. Thanks, he said to her, as if he were a diabetic and she were bringing him insulin. Make up this food with me, I added. Cut her back, and quite a one. Miss Knudson, Miss Kay said. He played on varsity as wee sophomore. I remember that game where you carried for over 100 yards and I don't know how many receptions. You have a fan, I told Oprah. Young and I did the dishes as we always did, and Oprah helped. Then we watched TV, all of us smushed on the couch. Young and Oprah are sat together, their hips touching. I kept my eye on them, though I really did. I never saw John look so happy, ever, until I saw her wearing Oprah's leather jacket that is. On her 90-pound frame, it looked like she was wearing Godzilla's leather jacket. Where you get that? I said, trying to not sound overly sarcastic. I want to go out with him, like on a date. She said, her jaw set in determination. Determination. Yeah, right, I said. You tell Oma Nawaji that. Actually, I thought it would be good if she did. Maybe she could clear the way of Rainy and me to come out in the open. We had started making out in the dark corners at school just because any place out of school carries some risk. I rarely faced the wrath, such as it might be, of Mr. Rippenen, than of Abaji any day. Well, what do you think that they say? I shrugged. Maybe they'll surprise you. I don't know. Think so. I could tell she really, really wanted to be optimistic. You won't know until you try. Young didn't wear the jacket home. I think she left her. I think she left it in her locker, because when Oprah came to pick us up the next morning, She was wearing her thick down jacket. Meanwhile, he was freezing his patates off in the same light jacket he wore at all fall. If you get pneumonia before the tournament, coach is gonna have your head. I advised him. Mind your own beeswax, buddy. Mind your own, Miko said. He sounded incredibly cheerful. But why not? Young's voice filtered out the closed door of almost an average room. Everyone else does. College isn't so far away. Almost voice low and trying to suit it. I don't want to wait until college. I want to go on a date like a normal person in high school. I said no. Apogee boys like Darth Vader's. It seemed to sleep under the crack of their door. You are a good Korean girl. Dating is for Americans and their bad values. I am an American. Young boys was getting high. Almost voiceless. I don't know, understand why everything American is bad and everything Korean is good. Why did we leave Korea then? We came here so that the selfish children could have a better life, and as long as you are in my house, you will do as I say. I don't want to see what meek old boy here again. But his Chan friend too. There were tears thickening her voice. Abachi said something, squatting unintelligible. They want you, don't then why don't you just lock us up here while you are at it, so you can boss us around better? I heard a thwap and a cringe. I cringed, but then I realized that it was the sound of flesh on wood, a table maybe, not flesh on flesh. If Abachi ever hit Young, go to your room now. I won't have any more of your silliness. I don't understand. You used to be the best child. I heard movement toward the door, then realized too late that I was about to be caught eavesdropping. No way I could sneak back down the stairs fast enough, so I dove into Jung's room. Not the smart thing to do, but the only alternative. Jung appeared like a ghost in the narrow room. She didn't look at me, but she must have known I was there. She closed the door softly, because too polite to slam it. They so unreasonable, she moaned, falling like a rag doll onto the bed. I sat down next to her. All I wanted to do is go to a movie with Miko, get a pizza, for God's sake. Her hair was stuck in with tears to her face. I brushed it away. She crawled away from me like a shrimp. Shh, shh, I said, rubbing her back. I couldn't think of any words of comfort. I just felt bad for encouraging her on what had now been revealed to be a suicide mission. Opa, we get good grades, work, all that. Why can't Oma and Abuji let us have just littlest amount of freedom? No one else I know studies as hard as we do, or works at the store. Everyone I know just goofs off. Even Donna sits around watching TV on weekends. A vein in her temple dropped. I don't know what to say, except sorry, I said, I guess in hindsight. If Abuji can get so angry about my suggesting we leave an old Buddha statue behind. It was stupid of me to think he take dating very easily. Sorry. They have no idea what I could do. I stared at my sister. Do what? What I mean is that there is so much trouble we could get into, but we don't. So when I want to be an adult came out in the open about wanting to date, it's like they think I'm some kind of slut or something. Well, what do you think going to happen if they find out about Rainy? It's not the same. You're a boy, Young declared. Boys can't be sluts. Still, I'm not going to let them find out if I can help it. I'll cover you for you too. Thanks, Opa, she said sadly. What am I supposed to do? Start sneaking around? But John promised not to see Miko as like promising not to breathe. I mean, you'll see him at school, and he's my best buddy. I'm sure when he finds out I can go out, he'll get another girlfriend anyway. All those cheerleaders are always slobbering all over him. I don't think so, kid. I said Miko is the kind of guy who sees things through. He's loyal. She breathed a little, high-cupped. Life is so unfair sometimes, Jan. I knew John wouldn't sneak around. She just wouldn't. I never felt like I was doing anything wrong when I snuck around with Sujin, and now with Rainy. But Jung had totally different standards. One thing I hope you'll think of, I said, is make your feelings. If you have to let him down easy. Of course, Chan, she said. Of course I'll think about him. I love him. I stared at her again. My city was beginning to surprise me in so many ways.